So what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper. Welcome everybody to another video today, and the game we're going to be looking at today is called Anarea Battle Royale. And is this the replacement for PUBG? Well, let's talk about it a little bit. So this game is a new BR that was developed by a smaller French studio that is sort of predicated on the idea that it's a realistic sort of Battlegrounds-esque shooter. Those mechanics alongside a couple of other unique ones that sort of blend in together from other BRs to make this game called Anarea. So is this game all it's lived up to be? Well, I'm going to give you my honest opinion after playing it for a couple of hours, and keep in mind that this game still is in a pre-alpha, so a lot of these technical issues are going to be worked out, but just as a game, from a gameplay perspective, I'm going to give you my exact rundown. Now, if you guys enjoyed the video today, all I ask in return is to drop a thumbs up. It helps out a lot. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, of course, if you want to see more videos like this. But anyways, immediately I was struck with the sense that this game is going to be very similar to H1Z1. It has a reasonably realistic setting along with like real-life guns and everything, but there are still like certain sillier aspects or less realistic like non-conformities in the game. All of the weapons that you use as far as firearms are all pretty realistic. They're all based out of real-life guns or simply just pulled from the real-life version, and that all makes sense and it, you know, fits the scenario that it's in. However, there is a unique mechanic that pretty much behave as perks. They're called skills in this, and you can hold really one skill at a time, and you find these from like looting crates, which is a very like Fortnite-esque sort of mechanic. It combines the slower, methodical, individual pickup loot system, sort of like in PUBG, and meshes that with the Fortnite box opening system and kind of puts it into one cohesive narrative, which I like. Now, the skills themselves, again, pretty much behave as perks. There's some that allow you to be silent for like around a minute after you get a kill. There's some that will make you more resistance to grenades or potentially taking damage, make you heal faster, that sort of thing. You essentially wear whatever skill you like or the one that you think will serve you in the upcoming situations and gunfights that you're going to have. You don't really ever know which one you're going to need, but that's why there's pretty much tons of crates scattered throughout the entire map, and then usually when you kill an enemy, they have a skill that you can pick from as well. And besides the guns and the looting systems, that's almost where all the similarities of other BRs more or less stop. Now, the interesting thing about this game is you do not jump out of a plane or any sort of aircraft to pick where you land, and I don't know if this is going to change later. Some other BRs have done this, but as you guys saw at the beginning of the gameplay, you basically just spawn in, and wherever the game chooses to put you is where you roll with. Sometimes you're kind of out in the open, and then sometimes you're directly next to a building where maybe there's tons of guns and skill crates and all that sort of thing. But I don't know if they plan on keeping that mechanic in, but yeah, you do just spawn directly into the map, and the zone moves in as you would expect. It's a circular shape, and the gas itself is really weird. The color is completely opaque, meaning you cannot see into the zone. If you're in, let's say, the safe ring and somebody is out in the gas, you literally cannot see them until you actually go in there yourself. And I noticed that pretty much my first game that I couldn't see anybody hardly at all, that I would actually have to cross that border if I wanted to pick up a kill of somebody camping. Another big difference you're going to notice in this game compared to something like Battlegrounds is all of the gunplay is in third person. So in PUBG, you can play a third person perspective, but aiming down the sights will still take you into first person. That's sort of where the immersive gunplay is supposed to kick in, but in every single gunfight on this game, it is all in third person with your initial crosshair, and you can change obviously your sensitivities if you want it to be more or less while you're aimed down sights, quote unquote, but it doesn't really seem to affect too much. You just really want to hit people on your crosshair more or less. The gunplay is interesting, and here's like one of the concerns I have about this game. The only indicator that you actually tag someone is a hit marker, and that's fine. It seems to work in this game, but there really isn't much of an indicator when you get hit. Really no flinch or big auditory warning or, you know, any sort of mechanic that immediately tells you you're taking damage. Sometimes I'll come out of a gunfight and just be surprised at how low my HP is, and sometimes you'll feel as if you hit a person like 20 times and then you go to finish the kill and they one-tap you with a shotgun even though you're at full HP. Sometimes the gunfights feel a little bit strange, and that could be due to the server issues that we were playing on because it's an alpha and it's going to have those problems. It could be that's just sort of part of the gunplay. It's hard to say. I would say that this is a BR that you treat more like a new H1Z1. The build that I played, as far as I could tell, I didn't see any drivable vehicles, that although that doesn't mean they don't or won't ever exist, but it was pretty much just flat out running the entire time. In my opinion, as far as performance and like if the game stuttered at all, the game actually ran really well. Now, we did have a lot of of issues with actually staying on the servers. There was times at the game where I would play for an hour and it just straight up didn't work. You'd be in the game for 2 minutes and you would get a server disconnection that really wasn't no fault of your own. One of the biggest problems I would say I had with this game was, especially a lot of games in the beginning, I literally could only find skill crates just because that's where it would spawn me. Sometimes your neighbor would just find a shotgun while you only found a couple of the skill crates. It felt like there was a little bit too many of them, whereas the gameplay isn't necessarily focused there. Like the skill abilities, the traits do help in certain situations, but normally to even activate them in the first place, you need to initiate them with a kill, and you can't really do that without a gun. So that was one of the things that I felt maybe should be scaled back or rebalanced a little bit. The gunplay felt a little questionable just because, I don't know, maybe I've gotten so used to other BR games that something like this just kind of feels strange now. Having in really only third person and you not having a lot of feedback when you hit someone or otherwise get hit did feel kind of awkward for a bit, but, you know, I think I settled into it after a few games. Sound in this game, even as far as footsteps, they all pretty much work, I would say. There are some, like, textures where footstep sounds just won't play, but other than that, like, everybody's footsteps are very auditory, so it's unlikely you'll get snuck up on. They're pretty easy to hear even from far distances. Looting was pretty smooth and straightforward, as I mentioned earlier. It was very much like Battlegrounds looting, where you can just press F on everything to pick it up, but in this game it happens to be instant, whereas PUBG, like, every item takes like a second or two. The game is very aesthetically pretty. Like, all of the textures and the colors and everything are so vibrant, and it's easy on the eyes, and I appreciated that a lot. Like, it seemed to be what PUBG wanted to be as far as a game and how it looks, but the gameplay is certainly a lot different. I tried to really put this game under a microscope in terms of its gameplay mechanics and really find out if it brings anything new to the Battle Royale table, if it can sit there as part of the family, and I think this BR refines a lot of elements that other games have done, and in this case even does some of them better. I think the zone works really well aside from the weird opaque stuff, and I think the looting is actually a really nice cross between, like, the slow methodical looting of PUBG, which has its place, don't get me wrong, and then the quick, more like box looting style of a Fortnite or even like a Warzone, and I think it blends those two together. But as far as bringing anything super unique to the table, I don't know if it does. The perks are cool, but I don't know if they're enough, because there's, again, other BRs that do a similar perk system, and I think this one doesn't seem to affect gameplay too much, or they're not incredibly important as of right now. The gunplay is fun and it's different, especially using realistic weapons in a setting like this. It feels cool, but, like, I don't feel like it's nothing I haven't played before. I feel like this same gunplay experience could be had in H1. Maybe this is just part of the alpha and there's other things that are going to be added to it later, but I'm not so sure it brings its own identity to the table. It feels like a really weird cross between PUBG and H1. Again, I'm disregarding a lot of the bugs and then connection issues because that's not relevant to the gameplay stuff, but it was a different experience, and I will say that. And I guess if you guys want to check it out for yourself, I'm going to encourage you to do that and maybe play this, but a lot of people were talking about it, so I wanted to see if there was any substance to this game. And what I'm going to do from here on out, because I've been talking about it this entire time, I'm going to let you guys watch the rest of the gameplay, the rest of this match, and you guys can let me know what you think about it, of your raw, unedited opinions. I would love to know, is this the replacement for PUBG to you? Do you think that this game has potential to grow? Is there anything that you feel like this game could improve on that would make you enjoy it more? I just wanted to showcase this to you guys for a bit, and you can let me know what you think. But enjoy the rest of the gameplay. I'll see you guys really soon. Drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're brand new, and enjoy the rest of the match.